and if the level is okay, please type in the chat window. So I have some feedback about if I should speak very loudly or if I should speak very slowly or I should speak in a medium way. So please type in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see the slides, and if the sound volume is okay for you guys. Thanks, Mukta. Thanks, Mansi. Thanks, Samir, Ashish. Seems like most of you can hear me clearly and the sound is acceptable, if not very great. So for sure we will start. We have few people joined and definitely people will be joining. So first of all, thank you very much for waking up so early on a cold Saturday morning. In India, it would not be that cold as in is Toronto. In Toronto, it's night right now. It's about 11 p.m. and it's about minus 25 outside. So water freezes at 0 degrees, but we are still living somehow in minus 25. So it's very, very cold, one of the coldest night in winter. So good morning and thank you very much for joining. And we will start if you can. Oops. So today's topic is, as you can um, remember, higher education in technical communication. So a lot of people think about gaining higher education. Um, I see. I'm not in India and from past few years, but I keep on touching base with people who are attending some courses in India. A lot of new courses have started up. Some of the organizations they have started new courses in India regarding technical writing, and a lot of people are very interested in uh, having some kind of formal education in technical writing. And the big dilemma is whether they can do it with their jobs or should they leave their job and start a course studying full time as a technical communication, whether it's worth attending a course like that. So there are a lot of questions. So I would like to try to answer some of those. uh, for those who don't know me, my name is Gurpreet Singh. I'm a technical writer with about 10 years of experience. I worked in India for most of my career, about 8 years, and I was thinking about uh, gaining some kind of formal education in technical communication. So I decided to have a sabbatical year. I took I promised myself to take 1 year off from work to see what academics provides in technical communication. So I researched a lot of countries. Initially, I targeted four countries, which was US, UK, Canada, and Australia. I compared a lot of different courses, and then I finalized a course in Canada. I knew nobody in Canada. I never visited Canada, so it was very interesting to research everything and then finalize a course. And in fact, the picture you see on the right side brings a lot of memories back because that was the first day of my college. So I stepped in a college-like environment after 8 years. So it was very interesting. A lot of memories, and for sure, I would like to try to guide you regarding some of the aspects of higher education, how it's different in terms of the course content, the faculty, and also is it better to do it virtually along with your job, or to leave the job. I decided to leave the job, and I'm still in Canada. I'm working for a software company, Canadian Health, which works in Canadian healthcare. So I will talk about that course, and I will talk about some other courses as well. So if you are still there and listening to me, just a show of hands so that I can see, just yay or nay or something like that. Okay, I assume silence means good and everybody is able to listening to me. Uh, so following, so I have a content, a loose content. Basically, I will talk about the higher education opportunities, what kind of courses you can do, what kind of modes of learning you have, whether it has to be a full time, can it be part time, or can it be virtual where you can study on your own time. I will also talk about some of the cost associated with the education because believe me, taking the decision to study in a foreign country is very, very expensive. It's probably one of the most uh, big financial decisions you would be taking. Uh, and also a lot of people ask me that is it after doing so much of studies and after pursuing putting so much of efforts, is it worth to attend a formal education in technical communication or because a lot of us know that most of us didn't had any technical education. We had some kind of education but not in necessarily in technical writing. We came and learned most of the things on the job, but is it worth to have a formal technical right education? So let's talk about some of these things. And a lot of people ask me that from where you can actually see which courses are available in India or abroad. I'm not sure about India, but a lot of courses in North America, especially in US and Canada, they're on STC website. So STC is sponsoring this session. So it's some of you are STC members, and even if you are not a STC member, you can definitely take a look at what we call the academic database. So this is a screenshot of the STC website. If you look at the main page under the education tab, there's something called academic database. When you when you click on that link, you get something like this. So you get a index itinerary with all the alphabets, and if you click on any alphabet, say S, it will give you all a list of all the education institutions, which includes colleges and universities which have some kind of technical writing or technical communication or communication related programs. So and if you click on M, it will, or A, it will show the degrees as well. So example, on the right side, you can see when I clicked M, you have Masters of Arts, which there are 12 institutions which provide MA degrees in technical writing and 17 which provide MS in technical writing. And you can see some of the universities' name as well. So definitely, if you are thinking about higher education and want to get like a laundry list of educational institutes, which provide some kind of technical communication program. So definitely STC is a starting good point. So go to STC website under the education tab, the academic database, and you have a list of uh, colleges, and then you can shortlist depending upon the cost, the duration of the program, job opportunities, also visa issues. In sometimes it's easier to get visa for one country and not for another. and also the cost. Uh, so any questions till now? You can just type in the chat window. I am keeping a tab on the chat window, and I would be answering some of your questions. And I want to have an interactive session, so please feel free to just type in the chat window. Thanks, Ashish. So let's talk about in like if you look at the larger picture, the definitely the good things are the degrees, which is MS and MA. So you get a formal Masters of Science in Technical Communication. It's very common in US. Most of these programs, these MS and MA, they are in 2 year duration, and about 80% of them are full time. So you have to do it in the university, and roughly 20% of time they are available online, which means even if you are in India and you want to pursue MS in technical communication in US, you can join a university which provides a virtual learning program. So you are working, and the side by side you can complete your MS degree. You learn a lot. The course content is exactly similar to what you would learn if you are in US, but you can learn it at the comfort of your home. A lot of universities offer these programs. Unfortunately, none of the Canadian universities I could research provides a degree in MS or MA. There are some certifications courses online, and I was talking about Seneca program specifically, which I graduated from. Um, so if you look at the US university list, North Carolina State University, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, New Jersey Institute of Technology, University of Minnesota, Utah State University, and Texas Tech University. They all provide some kind of MS or MA in technical application. And if you look at the STC list, you will get a much broader list of the institutions which are providing a degree or a degree technical communication. The criteria is normally you should have a good grasp of English, which they prefer either by TOEFL or IELTS as a judgment of how good your English is. And then they are like if it's online, they sometimes require writing samples as well. And it's difficult to get in a good program, but definitely it's worth trying. And I have a question from Nagraj, does virtual program have the same value as a full-time program? So Nagraj, it really depends upon what your expectations are from the program. So let's say if you want to gain more knowledge, you want to become a better technical writer, a better technical communicator, with grasp of rhetoric and the actual context of technical writing, then yes, it's exactly the same. A lot of places they don't differentiate between distance learning and in informal in classroom education. For most places in Canada, and we live in the US as well, they don't differentiate between online learning and learning in the classroom itself. What they test you is with the skills you have. So it doesn't matter whether you are learning it online or learning it in a classroom. So skills matter, at least in the North American market. I'm not very sure about India, so and definitely it's very good. Your skill level becomes very high. And Revati have a question about how interactive the virtual classroom programs are, and will they do virtual classroom setup for a set of students? So Revati, what happens that a lot of universities to cut cost, they don't use physical classroom at all. They have their whole profile of programs online, and they are very good universities, very big universities. And they start their session once or twice a year. They select candidates who apply for those programs, and they start the session on time. So they do not conduct specifically for like a group of students, but they start a session, and you have to get enrolled in that session itself. And they are very interactive. They give you assignments, they have group chats. So the feel is very similar to what you would be doing if you were in a classroom. The only thing is it's virtual, and the instructors are highly trained. They are very knowledgeable. Most of them are STC members, and so it's very very good. It's a very good method. A lot of people in India are doing this kind of programs, and definitely they can speak much better than I can, because I didn't pursue a the distance learning program. What I did was a full-time program in Canada, so that my experience was very different. So the second option, slightly lesser than degree, because if you look at it, if you're working for some time in technical writing, you do not want to spend too much time on getting a formal education, and 2 years is a long time, especially if you are working and you have to leave your job. So the other option is to get a certificate. In Canada and of course in US as well, we have something called undergraduate and graduate certificate. So graduate certificate means you are a postgraduate certificate. You need to have a graduate degree in order to apply. So it's a postgraduate certificate for sure. The duration is normally 1 year. There's some options of part-time and online learning as well. So I will talk about Canada. I'm in Canada. I'm located in Toronto. It's a beautiful city. A very cold at this moment, but a very beautiful city. So Seneca College and George Brown and York University, they are all located in Toronto area. And in fact, Sumedh, a very good technical writer, a lot of people know him from India. He is an instructor in one of the George Brown College programs about technical writing. So it's a very nice program. So George Brown College provides evening part-time program. So target for people who are interested in technical writing, but they are working on a different profile in the day. So the classes are offered in the evening, and people can go and take any classes about technical writing and think about having technical writing as a career option. On the other hand, we have two programs and this is very interesting that a lot technical writing has been in North America from decades, but still only two programs in Canada, which is Seneca College in Toronto and Algonquin in Ottawa. They provide full-time 1 year course in technical communication. Um, so I will talk more about Seneca College as well, but the other option is Algonquin, which is in Ottawa, which is targeted. Algonquin program is targeted towards new technical writers, and in Seneca College you have a mix of people who have good experience in technical writing and newcomers. Uh, the other option is York University, which is in Toronto. They provide a online certificate program as well. And Simon Fraser University is a university in Vancouver, in British BC, in Canada. They provide a solution, so you can enroll in the and complete your complete certificate online. So definitely you can check out the Simon Fraser University, and a lot of US universities and colleges as well, which provide online learning opportunities in technical education, in technical communication. So there are number of institutes, and if you look at the SC academic database, you probably have over 100 choices to choose from. So it really depends upon what you are looking for in the education. You can do a small 1 day certificate class to 2 years full MS degree in technical communication. So it really depends upon how much skills you want to upgrade and how much efforts you want to put in, because some of the courses are very demanding. It requires a lot of coursework. It requires a lot of research, uh, and it's a very interesting program. It defends you. It definitely makes you a better writer for sure. So I will talk out later about Seneca College, one of the programs which I did. So Seneca College is a government college. It was founded in 1967. It's the largest government college in Canada. It has 10 different campuses in the GTA. So Greater Toronto area includes Toronto and the suburbs. So there are a lot of cities nearby Toronto, Mississauga and Brampton and Markham. So they're all collectively called Greater Toronto area. They have a lot of programs, about 260 programs, and about 2,000 full time and about 20,000 part time students study. And there are a lot of international students in Seneca. Uh, they have about 3,500 international students every year from over 100 countries. And if you talk about the international student, in our course, when I did about 2 years back, we had 4 or 5 international students, some from India, some from Bangladesh, some from Cayman Islands. So we had a lot of good group of international students, and the rest was from people from Canada. Some are from Toronto, and some from different provinces in Toronto. And they came from different educational backgrounds, and it was a very interesting mix of people who can be technical writer. In India, normally people think that engineers and people who are studying IT can be a technical writer, but in Canada, in North America, there's no age limit or career choice limit, and anybody can become anything. So we had people who had various backgrounds. Some, for example, one student was a mechanic, a car mechanic in his previous job, but he wanted to become a technical writer, and he's working as a technical writer today. So there are a lot of different options, a lot of different programs, and one of the fears I had that when I was thinking about studying this course was that I would be the oldest person in the class to say, because I left college like 8 years back. But I found out that I was the one of the youngest in the program, because we had some people who were above 50 and they were doing that course to become technical writer. So you can find like people from all age groups. So it's not just for like teenagers or in early 20s. You can find people in early 30s, early 40s, and early 50s as well in the same program. So it's a very good learning experience if you decide to choose uh, any college and study that in US or Canada. So about the program which I did is called a graduate certificate in technical communication. It's a co-op program. Co-op means cooperative education, which in India we call internship. So you get a paid internship. There are 3 semesters typically in a year. So you have 4 months of study, and then 4 months of paid internship, and then another 4 months of study. So you study for 4 months. You do a real job in 4 months. You apply whatever you learn in those 4 months in the job, and you again come back to college and study another 4 months, which reflects upon you that what you did studied in the first semester, what you applied in the second semester, and what else you can do in your third semester. So it's a very interactive program. The faculty is very nice. For example, we had about 7 or 8 subjects, and 5 of our professors were past STC presidents. Um, very knowledgeable. Some of the speakers, uh, some of the teachers, faculty members, they had 20 or 30 years of experience. Our coordinator, Beth, an excellent technical writer, had about 40 years of technical writing experience. She was the one who wrote some documentation for the Canada arm. So Canada space program in which they built up a station, and there was a arm which could fetch objects from one point in the space station to another, and she wrote some technical documentation for that. So a lot of people with highly recognized credentials and who are in the industry for decades. So you learn from those people, and you learn a lot for sure. So Mansi has the question that is there a part-time option for MS degree? For sure, Mansi. There are a lot of online courses and a lot of part-time options as well. Some courses are virtual, so you can enroll in a program and you can spend not just 2 years but like 3 or 4 years and complete your MS education. If you look at the STC academic database, it's on the STC website. You can get a list of all the institute that provides some kind of education, and you can narrow down to whatever you want as a choice. So this is the curriculum and the model for the program from Seneca College. So as I described, you have 3 semesters starting in fall. Fall means September. So in early September, the session starts. So you study for 4 months from September to December, and from January to in the winter semester you work, you find a job. So in Canada, it's very a lot of almost all the companies they hire interns, and finding an intern job is just like finding a real job. So you have some leads, some position which specifically say which are a co-op position. You apply for them, you prepare for the interview, get selected, you are called for an interview, you submit your credentials, and you get hired just like in a real world. And the only difference is that the position is only for 4 months. Sometimes it's extendable, but it's a 4 month work commitment, and then you are back in college again in summer semester, which is from May onwards. So from May to August, you complete your second semester. And the beautiful thing about this model is that imagine you have some experience in technical writing, or say you are a beginner in technical writing and you study for 4 months, so you have a somewhat good grasp of what technical writing is, what are the tools, what are the methodology of technical writing, why is technical writing important, and things like that. And then you apply that knowledge in an actual job in the winter semester, and then you go back to college for another 4 months and you reflect of what you studied in first semester and what things were important in the actual job, and so that you can what subjects you choose, and what kind of assignments you develop in the third semester as well. And a lot of group there's a lot of group work involved in most of the semester. So you sometimes you can choose your own group, sometimes you are randomly selected in a group, and you have to work with different people. So it gives you very real world experience of how to work with different groups and how to work in a challenging environment, in a deadline sensitive environment, because all the assignments they are deadline sensitive, and there are a lot of assignments. There are a lot of assignments. Probably you will write more stuff in academic stuff, academic classes, than in a actual real job. So the semester one in technical writing consists of 7 subjects. Technical writing one is the general technical writing description. What is technical writing? The technical now technical communication is not just technical writing. Technical writing is just one aspect of technical communication. So we have a subject of the technical communicator, which encompasses all aspects of technical writing, including audio and visuals. We have a subject for information technology. We have a very interesting subject on editing and style, and especially technical editing. So, instructor we had written a lot of books on technical editing. So it was one of my favorite subjects. There are a lot of styles of editing, how you can self-edit, the punctuation marks, how can you create your own manual of style. It was very interesting, and we all use FrameMaker. So there's a very good class from FrameMaker from one of the experts in FrameMaker, Bernard. So he's an excellent person to get trained with. In fact, Adobe, whenever they create a new version of FrameMaker, they consult Bernard for the usability expert. So he's an expert in FrameMaker. So for sure, it's a very nice program. And one of the subject is coding for web designs and applications. So you can create your own programs. Um, you learn to read some of the codes. And another core professional theory tells you about which program can you, which what can you expect in an internship, how to give an interview, how to prepare for an interview. They conduct you some of the dummy programs, and it's a very interesting and uh, interesting program. And though this program is called full time, in Canada, full time means 20 hours a week. So your classes are only 20 hours a week, but there are a lot of assignments and a lot of group work. So it's very hard compared to like what we're used to. But still, you are in college only for 20 hours a week. So you spend only 20 hours, and then you prepare assignments and prepare for presentations and write research papers, write uh, prepare style manual of style, and a lot of interesting stuff. And most of the assignments that you get is the actual assignment that you will do in a real job. So it definitely prepares you for what you can get in a job. And the second semester, which comes after the work term, is again most of the advanced subjects. You have a second editing 2, you have FrameMaker 2 and Web Design 2, along with single sourcing and modular writing, and about employment and business practices, which is very important if you are planning to be a consultant or a freelance technical writer. Very interesting subject for document design, how you design your manual. So writing text is one thing, but how you organize that text into sections, how do you design the layout of the document? So there's a whole subject based on just how to design a good document. So that's very interesting program, and definitely this is the outline for just one of the programs out there, and there are hundreds of programs out there. So based on your interests, based on your skill level, and how much you want to uh, gain from the course, you can definitely choose a course which is well suited for your interests. So, guys, any questions till this point? You can type your question or comments in the chat window. So, Revati asked a question that the full time means there is no online program available in Seneca. So, Revati, unfortunately for this program, this is a full time program. So, you have to be in Canada to attend the classes and to complete the work time and semester two. But as I said, Simon Fraser University in Vancouver and a lot of other universities in US, they provide options to pursue these courses online as well. So unfortunately not this program, but there are a lot of other programs that you can pursue which are online. So any other question? So Mansi asked a very interesting question. Can I get a technical writing degree coupled with translation degree? So Mansi, as I said that a lot of programs, especially in the US universities, they allow you to select your electives. So there are a lot of electives, and I'm sure there would be some elective related to translation as well. So you have to find the relevant program and check if they allow to provide you a translation, some kind of certification as well. For sure, I'm sure my guess would be definitely yes. So you have to find the relevant course. And Mukta asked a question about your work experience during the work term. Uh, what did you get to learn in that duration? So that's a very interesting question, Mukta. Okay, so I was working for 8 years as a technical writer. I have gone through numerous versions of FrameMaker, numerous versions of RoboHelp, and then later on MadCap. I worked on Conference Wiki, lot of other tools. So I wasn't expecting to learn anything on the tools front. What I was more interested in learning was how the Canadian business culture works. So my work term, interestingly, I applied to a lot of places, and I had some options, but I choose in Seneca. So Seneca is a big college. They have a big IT department. So there was a new project in Seneca. They were creating a content management system, and they wanted a technical writer to work, uh, create a user manual and online help, and some video tutorials for that. So I took that option, and it was a very interesting experience. A very interesting experience. So though it was a group in the college, we had a separate floor where students cannot enter. So it was more like a normal ID job, but you could learn a lot. So in terms of technical writing, you don't. In terms of technical writing, you learn how to interact with different developers. Um, in terms of Canadian environment, in Canadian business culture, which is not very different than Indian business culture, but still they are different stuff. For example, in India, I will just give an example. In India, it is okay to receive personal calls on on office time. In Canada, it's okay, but it's not looked very favorably, and you can't realize that until you work in a Canadian job environment. So I was learning more in definitely in terms of the business culture rather than the actual technical writing. But definitely it was worth studying it because uh, it was very interesting. You learn a lot of things in that 4 month of engagement. So Abhilasha then says that requested more details on university which provide online courses. So Abhilasha, I would be sharing the slides with everybody and would be posting on my blog as well. But if you go to STC website, under the education tab, there is a academic database which has over 100 universities listed which provide courses. Some of them provide online option as well. So you have to choose the right university and you can tailor down your own online course. Some courses have are just for few months, some are for 1 year, some are for 2 years, and they have different coursework. So you can definitely choose and match things which interest you. So Sami asks about that distance learning. The question is distance courses in India don't provide hands-on tools like FrameMaker and RoboHelp. What is the case regarding distance learning course here? So, me, as I said, that some of the universities they have a course in FrameMaker. For example, like in my case, I had a subject for FrameMaker. So you are given assignments. You have to follow a textbook. So you follow that textbook, you learn about the tool, and you actually create projects, which you can definitely use as a work sample as well. So definitely lot of universities, I do believe they have either FrameMaker or some kind of online a tool criteria in which you can learn as well. So for sure, you will definitely find a lot of courses which have FrameMaker and RoboHelp or MATLAB Flare as one of their courses. Uh, you can type your comments and questions. I'll keep a tab on that, but we will uh, move to the next portion, which is still the. If you are interested to pursue this course, then what is the program eligibility? What are the deadlines and how applicants are selected? So the basic criteria is because a postgraduate certificate, so you need to have a 3 years degree or diploma from an institution. You should be you can be a mature student, means 19 or above, with some experience on the belt. 3 to 5 is good enough. You need to have references of your work. You need to have a demonstration of your English proficiency at the college level, which is a good score in IELTS or in TOEFL. So you have to give the exam and you get a score, and uh, the schools all colleges have a list. For example, if you want to pursue a postgraduate program, I believe minimum IELTS score is 6.5. So you have to get at least 6.5 in all the subjects, and I think 7, no, with no less than 6.0. So if you are working as a technical writer, I believe your English skills are much better than others, and with a little practice, you can definitely get a much higher score. But definitely IELTS score or TOEFL score is one of the criteria of getting selected, along with your work experience. They ask for writing samples as well, and even though and a lot of people don't realize, but for an international student, the whole process of deciding that I want to pursue it and to land in the first day of college is about 1 year. So that is a lot of time. So the earliest, and even like in Canada, like if you are starting a course, this course starts from September. So the deadline date for applications is end of February. So if you are interested in applying studying from this year in September, the deadline date is 28th of or 29th of February. So you have to submit your application before that to be considered as a candidate. And the courses and the technical writing program is very popular one, so it's difficult to get a seat uh, just few months back. So it's always better to apply before the deadline. And the process is you give your IELTS, and even IELTS you first book your IELTS test, which is probably 2 to 3 weeks, and then you get your results after 2 weeks. So just 1 or 2 months is just for the IELTS exam as well, and then you prepare your whole profile. So there's a panel there's a panel of the faculty members who will be professors. Most of them are from STC. They Most of them are from STC. Actually, are STC presidents, present or past. So they combine and they select applicants based on their academic credentials, their work record, and if you are in Canada, they invite you for a mandatory orientation session in which you give a small writing test, and based on that writing test, you uh, get selected or rejected. So even if sometimes the professor requests that even if you are not in Canada, so you can apply from anywhere across the world, and when you come Canada, you can give an online test inside the college just to assess what your English level is and if want to put you in more rigorous English sessions. But for most of technical writers, English is the forte. So I don't think a lot of you would be, if somebody is interested, they would be. It's very easy to for the language portion. Visa is a completely different horse. So cost. Everybody wants to see how much they are paying and how much value they can get from the program. So I would say that it is one of the biggest investment of your life. So a lot of people, it's almost like a lot of people say that house is the biggest investment. I would say after your house, probably this is the biggest or even bigger than a house. So Canada has the lowest fees for international students. In US, and I will talk about the US. So in US, most programs the fees is almost twice from Canada. So for international student, the fees for an international student in Canada is about $13,000, which is under about 650,000 rupees, about 6.5 lakhs in India. In US, it is almost twice. So in US, the fees is $26,000 every year, which means about 14 lakhs per year, or maybe 30 lakhs per year. And if you are pursuing an MS, a full-time MS from a US college, you are giving $26,000 into two for 2 years. So you are giving about 26 lakh rupees just in the tuition fees. Books are very expensive. Uh, you are lucky to be in India. In India, books are so cheap, but in Canada, the books are very expensive. Most of the books are over $100 each. Some books are about 150 or $160 each. So roughly the books and supply cost is about $1,600 every year, which is about 80,000 rupees. The living cost is about 1,000 to $1,500 approximately, of depending upon your lifestyle a month. So we roughly calculate $15,000 for the whole year, which is about 7.3 lakhs. So in total, if you talk about just 1 year program, um, in in this like the Seneca in program, you are thinking about a huge investment of about $30,000, which is about 15 lakhs. Not mention that this doesn't include your salary. So if you're leaving your job, you would not be getting a salary. So imagine you are getting a salary of say 15 lakhs and you decide to pursue this program. You are thinking about a 30 lakh commitment to yourself. It's a big investment. I've definitely most of you are young, and a lot of you invest in shares or in mutual funds or mutual bonds. Sometimes it's property as well. But I would definitely say invest in yourself as well. $30,000, but at least maybe $3,000 or at least $300 or maybe just $3,003. So it's an investment. It will come back eventually, but it's a big investment. I would say if you're single, not married, so probably finding the life your life partner would be the biggest decision. But to decide to pursue a course outside India and to spend that much amount of money is probably the next big decision you can have in your life. Uh, is it worth it? Is it not worth it? It really depends. I have seen people on both sides of spectrum. Some people who came to Canada as an international student from India, some from Bangalore, some from Hyderabad. They studied the program, but they were unable to find a good job in Canada because the market is not good in Canada for sure. In India, if you see 10 jobs, in Canada it's just one job. So its market is like 20 times less in Canada. It's very difficult to find a job. So they come and they spend so much of money, but if you're not able to get a job, then it's very difficult to be in Canada because the living expenses are very high compared to India. Just to give an example of the expenses in Canada, if you get a small apartment, a small condo, a small apartment, studio apartment, you are thinking about 800 to 900 or sometimes $1,000 a month just for the rent. So it's very expensive in Canada to live in Canada, and education is expensive. But once you land a good job, then things are very different. The starting salary for a technical writer in Canada is about $40,000 or $45,000, and if you are an experienced writer, you can get up to $60,000. There are very few full-time positions. Most of them are contracts, sometimes 3 months, sometimes 6 months. But it's a work environment is very different than India, and life in general is very different in North America compared to India. So any questions till now? So Namrata asked a question about job opportunities about completing an online course. So Namrata, it really depends upon where you are and what course you do. So I have definitely believed that once you do any course, whether it's online or offline or in the classroom or you study on your own, you gain a lot of skills and that translates to some value. It's very difficult to put a whole on value, but if I recruit two technical writers, one who has done some kind of certification or some kind of program, and his skills are better, definitely I would be able to hire that person and maybe consider for a salary raise than the other person. It really depends upon how much value you are bringing to the table. So there's no one fit answer to this question. So it really depends. And but speaking from a recruiter viewpoint, and have talked to a lot of recruiters. Definitely, if you have some kind of education in technical communication, you are much ahead of the curve. And I've always believed that you need to give recruiters a reason to ask for a better salary or negotiate a better salary. And definitely, one of the certification is a very good negotiation point because that shows that you are very committed to the profession, A, and B, you have spent a lot of time and money in upgrading your skills, which means you can deliver better documents, you can deliver them faster, and which eventually helps the business. So does it answer your question, Namrata? And any other questions you guys have? You can type in the chat window. You're welcome, Namrata. So let's go to the other side. So yeah, it's a big commitment. I have done that. Uh, so, but once you get a good job and and the good thing about the Seneca program is that the 4 month internship that you are doing is most of the time paid. So there are paid internships and there are unpaid internships. I was able to get a paid internship and was able to get a big amount of that tuition fee covered because I was working full time for 4 months. So definitely, yeah, it helps if you are doing a program which has an internship portion in which can cover some of the option. And starting from this year, as an international student, you are allowed to work for 20 hours a week. So you can definitely try to find some technical contract in which you can work for 20 hours because your classes are full time but are only 20 hours. So even if you work for 20 hours, you can study for 20 hours and cover up a 40-hour week, which will give you some financial independence. But definitely, it's a big commitment, and it's difficult to completely recover the fees out of the part-time work. Though it can help. So Samir asked about technical writing opportunity in pharmaceutical industry. So Samir, in Toronto, in Greater Toronto area, the biggest pharmaceutical hub of North America, the biggest of the big pharmaceutical companies are in Canada for sure. Uh, and definitely they would be hiring a lot of technical writers as well. Uh, so definitely there's a good amount of technical writers at all industries, and pharmaceutical is definitely one of them. But as I said, the job market is not as booming as it is in India. So sometimes people take 6 months just to land up a good opportunity. So definitely there would be opportunities, but maybe not at the same point of time when you are looking. So you have to be very patient and keep on applying for different industries, and definitely you land up a job in a good industry. But yes, pharmaceutical industry in Canada has a lot of technical writers. They have a lot of documentation work. So Mansi is asking about freelancing opportunities in Canada. So Mansi, the a lot of technical writers in Canada, they work from home. They are a freelancer and they do a lot of projects for Canadian employees. And in fact, a lot of Canadian companies, they have offices across Canada. So sometimes they hire technical writers and who have to work only from their home. So yes, there are opportunities available, but uh, it's difficult to find freelance projects anywhere, even in India or Canada. So, Padmaja asking if you get paid for 4 month internship. So, Padmaja, the which is the 4 months, you okay? So imagine like uh, there are a lot of jobs. I would say 80% of technical writing co-op jobs they are paid, uh, but you need to be selected in that 80% pool, or maybe 60%. I would say 60% are paid and 40% are unpaid. And since this is a mandatory requirement of the program, so you have to do some kind of uh, internship, paid or unpaid. So a lot of times students are able to get paid internships, but sometimes the market is really bad, and there are very few jobs available. So, for example, when I started studying and during my work term, in the previous past years, BlackBerry Research in Motion used to hire about 10 technical writers from our program, but due to the recession and due to the low financial condition of BlackBerry and Research in Motion, they hired no technical writer. So, or maybe I think only one or two technical writers. So some people had to take up unpaid positions as well, and some were able to get paid positions. So Soumya asked a question about other degree programs from Seneca and TC World. So Soumya, unfortunately I didn't had the chance to look at the courses by TC World, but definitely you can go online and check the criteria for Seneca, which is a full-time program, and take the TC World program. I'm not sure whether it's a full-time program or it's a virtual program. You can create a matrix of, say, the course content, the duration, the cost, whether it's a full-time or a part-time or a virtual, and you can choose a program which is best selected for your needs. So Mansi says about the academic year. So Mansi, the in Seneca and in most colleges in North America, there are 3 semesters. Those are major semester in which most programs start is in fall, which starts from beginning of September every year. So the Seneca program starts in September every year, but they start accepting applications since February. Uh, in some so yes, so I believe in the Algonquin, the other program which I talked about, which is the full-time program, and at Seneca, both the program they start in September, but other universities may have different schedules. So Namrata is asking about job availability in Canada and hard to find writing jobs in Canada. So Namrata, I would say yes, it is very difficult to find jobs in Canada for sure because the market is not as good as India. So I would say if you see 20 jobs in India, you will find only one job in Canada. So it's like that different. And definitely it's difficult to find jobs because a lot of Canadian employers they ask for something called the Canadian work experience. So even though you have technical writing experience, they would only like to consider the experience you have gained while working in Canada. So landing that first job becomes very difficult because you have no work experience, and unless you can get a job, you cannot gain work experience. So Canadian work experience is a big dilemma for newcomers in Canada, which is somewhat solved by the program if you do an internship. Because imagine when you do a program like Seneca, which has a paid 4 month internship. So by the time you are looking for a full-time job after your course, you already have 4 months of work experience, which is counted as experience. So in Canada, if you volunteer, which means you do a unpaid internship for 4 months, that is considered as equivalent to a 4 month paid internship in terms of work experience. So a lot of people who instead of sitting idle, they definitely go for an unpaid position so that they can put that in their CV and get selected for a better full-time position. Volunteering is look very highly desirable in Canadian market for sure. Okay, so Namrata is talking about the Namrata US market is very similar. Though US is very big, Canada is a small country compared to US. The size is very big in US, so there are more opportunities in US. But if you India versus other countries, so hands down the jobs are in India. So in US, whenever you see a job created in India, maybe some of them are coming from US or Canada. So there are very few jobs here, but they are good and it's difficult to get them. But yep. And Soumya talks about the Canadian climate. So Canada is one of the countries where it becomes very, very cold. For example, right now it is about minus 25 degrees. So some people in India they feel very cold even with 2 degrees or 3 degrees. And imagine being in an environment in which the temperature goes up to minus 25, minus 30. Last year I was in Ottawa to celebrate the New Year, and it was minus 40 degrees there. So it's very cold. The first winters is definitely a bit cold, and you need to adjust to that. But you get used to it. You get used to it. And unlike India, where you have open houses, every building in Canada needs to have heating. So no matter your house, your buses, the subway, the streetcars, the trams you can take, all the office buildings, all the classrooms, all the universities, everything is centrally heated. So you don't need to wear a lot of clothes inside those buildings. You only feel cold when you are open in the road. And most of the clothes you can buy in Canada, they are tailored for Canadian climates. So you can buy a jacket which will keep you warm up for minus 40 degrees without any issues. So you get used to it, just like others. The first year is a bit tricky, the first winters, but definitely you get used to it. And you need to purchase special shoes for walking in snow. We call snow boots. So you get used to it. They are very heavy compared to normal boots, but you get used to it. So keep on, guys, keep on having the questions coming. So we are running bit short of time. So I wanted to give you a visual tour of what you can expect in Seneca or in a Canadian college. So this is one of the Seneca campuses called Seneca at York. So this is where the technical writing program is offered. So you have two different buildings. This is one of the buildings. The other one is on the back side of this one. So York is a university and Seneca is a college. So in Canada, universities are very different than colleges. Universities provide longer duration programs, about 4 years or 5 years, and colleges they offer short term but practical programs. So Seneca is a college and York is a university. But this is one of the collaborative programs. So Seneca at York is basically two buildings inside York University. So you go into the university campus, but you actually study in Seneca, which occupies only two of the buildings in the big campus. And the campuses are really huge. They are like a small city. So your campus, I would assume, is about uh, 4 kilometers like long. So imagine the if you take a bus to York University, it drops you at what we call the Commons, and from Commons, which is the central point of the university, and from Commons you walk for 2 kilometers to get into your classroom. And you have a lot of restaurants inside, you have a lot of bars and pubs in the college. It's a very different atmosphere. They're huge, they're like a small city, and it's just one of the universities, and there's so many colleges and so many campuses. So infrastructure wise, definitely education is great. So this is another building, same in Seneca. So it looks, I think it's a summer position, but in winters there's a lot of snow on the ground, so it's very difficult to walk. Uh, but yes, so it's very interesting, and this is what we call computer commons. So instead of taking your laptop to college, you can just drop it into what we call, in India we commonly call it as a computer lab, in which you can work on any software. So most of these computers are connected with FrameMaker and other softwares. So some softwares are available, some are MacBooks, some are printing software. So you can log into any computer and complete your assignments there. So this is the actual picture of Seneca at York, which houses the technical communication program, and probably this was taken. Maybe on a Saturday or maybe a Sunday, because most of the chairs are empty. But on a normal weekday, it's very difficult to find a good spot because everybody is using the computers, and no place is good without a cafeteria. So this is a cafeteria inside the York campus. So we had a lot of discussions sitting in this cafeteria about style guides and um, what words to choose in different manuals, what format to choose, what kind of documents you need to prepare, how to create a style guide. So very interesting discussions. So this is some of the highlights of the Seneca campus, and I'm sure like most of the colleges they have similar campuses and infrastructure. So infrastructure is very different than what we call a college. So some of the points we already discussed about job market in India versus US Canada, and higher education technical higher education for technical writers should be for experienced writer. Why should you pursue and not to pursue? And as I said, there's a thin line between how much you want to spend and what you can deserve and what you can expect to deserve, because it's a big financial commitment. It's a big effort commitment, whether you are leaving your job and studying it full time, or if you are pursuing it online, uh, pursuing it virtually, or you can just buy a book and study on your own. So it really depends upon what you are expecting it, what your goals are. So what my condition is to look at what your goal is to pursue from the higher education? Do you want to pursue a program just to gain more knowledge? So you can always buy books. You can always attend seminar like these to get more information. Do you really need to go to a classroom to get that knowledge, or do you need to have a certificate to get a salary raise? Will your HR accept and validate that certificate? Will they? They might never have heard about Seneca. So there are a lot of things to consider, and a lot of people, not all, but some they time they want to immigrate to a developed country to experience a better life. Uh, so they want education is one of good method because you can acclimate to the culture, you can acclimate to the climate, you can get some kind of internship, and you can settle in that country. So it really depends upon what your goal is. So I would definitely suggest and recommend that you first think about what your motive is for higher education, and based on that motive, you can select a course in a selected country. So it's all depending upon what you want to get out of a program. So this is all I had to share. Thank you very much for attending. It's about quarter past midnight in Canada. So it was great to talk to all of you. So I write a blog on about technical writing. It's called technicalwritingtoolbox.com. I haven't updated for a long time, but I'm definitely trying to post more articles about technical writing. And you can also reach me at my email address, so you can connect with me anytime. I'm on LinkedIn as well, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn, on Twitter, or definitely visit my blog and contact me directly. So if there are any questions, I can definitely take up few more in for next few minutes.